Hey, it's Jim and Karen leaning into it on a Saturday. Today we're going to put some lights up in the yard. These are some string lights. We actually bought them at Costco, bought several boxes of them. Here's what they look like in here. You'll see it's about 48 feet long, and the light bulbs that go with it, whole box of light bulbs. Nice big kind of Edison looking light bulbs. Going to be kind of cool across the backyard. You see them at restaurants a lot outside. So what we're going to do is we're going to offer a little bit of additional support with this wire rope. Bought this at Home Depot in really long lengths that will be appropriate to our project. And we're going to go out, go back and forth, wind this thing. Going to go alternating between them. I could just have a small piece of this here to show you how this works, but this is going to be what's going to support it up between our palm trees. And then how we're going to connect it to the trees is with this cool little contraption. We're going to show you how that works when we get up on the top of the ladder.
Palm tree on this end of the yard. Our only choice is to put a pole in so we have some place to anchor the lights on this end. So what we've done is I've got a pole that we cut to length, and I planted it into the ground about 36 inches and then concreted it in because I suspect there's going to be some weight on these lights. I'll tell you a little bit more about the wraps. We initially started with 3, and I've got that covered in a minute. But I wanted to show you how we terminated these cables. Now, the hardest part about this is there's a ton of weight on it, a lot more tension than I expected. So when I pulled it tight to get it exactly where I wanted it to, I'm stuck because these things, you have to have the 2 nuts removed and then put it on and then cinch it down, all while you're holding the tension. And so we were really struggling with how to do that because it's difficult for 2 people to get in here. And what we finally came up with is to use vice grips. Tighten them down literally really tight and clamp it, and believe it or not, it actually holds the tension and allows you to easily just put these on. So this ring, and make sure that you get the same terminators that are the same size as your wire rope. And all of this was in the hardware section at your local Lowe's. Okay, so I need to anchor the pole to the wall to give it some more stability because these lights weigh a lot more than I thought. So I bought one of these drop-in wall anchors and an eye bolt, but the problem is the eye bolt's way too long and I'm not happy about it sticking out of the wall that far. So I need to cut it off, but obviously keep from boogering the threads. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my rotozip with the cutoff blade attachment, and you can keep from boogering the threads by putting the nut ahead of your cut. So you're going to cut it here and it'll booger the nuts a little, the threads a little bit. But the nut, when you remove it, will rethread it and take off any of the burrs. So that's the first part I'm going to do. You know, go inside and do the vise and the whole thing. So I just used vice grips and marked my spot where I wanted it to cut. I cut the first one off, and now I'm going for the second. Right. Pausing the action while we have to do a little work, and I need to run for some more supplies at Home Depot. But this is a version of the carnage that we've got going, and I will explain what the heck that is here in a minute. This project has absolutely taken on a life of its own. So what we thought was going to be like a 2-3 hour project has literally been an all-day project. So the anchors that I just got done showing you are not as impressive as I thought they were. I got the eye bolt about 1/4 of an inch in and it snapped off. It did not flare like it was supposed to. And you can see the other one, I just went ahead and put it on, but under stress, because I didn't get much of the eye bolt in there, it didn't, it's already bending and failing. So I'm going back to the old school technology, which is one of these anchors. These are in 2 pieces, and they're obviously start out together. So you drill the hole, and then you put this in, and then when you screw it in, it snaps apart and fills it up, and it holds. And I've used these to hold up gates and everything else, just like that's what's holding up this gate. So, new bit, new anchor, new guy wire anchor point. We'll see how it turns out. 108 or something, 9, 10, whatever. And you might be wondering how we can stand to be working out here in that kind of temperature, and it's because we just walk in and out of the pool and work with our clothes wet, and it really makes a difference. Okay, so because our cord of lights isn't going to go all the way to the back of the tree, it's going to stop partway through, and then the wire is going to go back and terminate. Karen pointed out that this last one was going to carry tons of weight because the rest of it was just hanging out. So we use zip ties to connect it to the string, and then we'll connect our extension cord and do the same thing on that end. So tell you what, a few things that we've learned. These lights weigh way more than we thought, and with the tension that you have to get them remotely even across takes a heck of a lot of ingenuity. So what we've done is we've wrapped several links of baling wire and anchored them into the wall. And we talked about how these anchors didn't work, but we found some better ones, and I ended up doing some redundancy because this is very, very tight and the pole is still bent. But everything's holding tight, and you can see over here, this is kind of the finished product. This last line will end up getting moved up. We put it there just so to not put too much stress on the tree, but we're gonna end up raising that. And one last thing that we found as far as connecting the O-rings to the trees, we initially only wrapped like 3 around, but considering how heavy it was, we ended up taking strands of 5 and twisting them together and then wrapping them around and tying them off. And that has held really, really well. It only pulled off about 1/2 inch from the tree. So those are tight. Now we just need to terminate using an extension cord to connect these 2 strings, and then the power is coming off of that far string, and we're good to go. So tonight we will have lights.
Not getting it. That's what's
Okay, folks. After literally a 2-day project that we thought was going to take like 2-3 hours max, we have lights. So here's the deal. Cocktail, pool, we invite you to lean into it. It is a very difficult project, but if you follow some of the things and you learn from some of our mistakes, it's not that complicated.